Hi everyone, and welcome to the Dynamics 365 Practice Show. Just thinking about that, I think I might change the name of the show to maybe the Power Platform Practice Show. Anyhow, what are your thoughts? Let me know. But times are a-changing. Anyhow, in this show, we have Kathrine Hogseth, who is the CEO of CRM-Konsulterna, based in Stockholm, Sweden. And we talk about how she runs the company and her business leadership. She's a true inspiration. I've seen her run events. I've spent time in her office. I've spent time in her home enjoying hospitality. She's very insightful. I remember meeting her husband years ago and him talking about her and some of the research she was doing. And so really had the pleasure of getting to know her. But before we jump into the show, I just want to talk about geospatial data. And when you hear of geospatial, you think of maps. But MapTasker is much more than a mapping and visualization tool. MapTasker enables both field and office staff to collaborate effectively through the means of maps with their field sales for Dynamics 365 and field engineer for Dynamics 365 products. Any business running a field-based team would benefit from better collaboration between field and office staff. MapTasker helps organizations increase productivity while reducing operational costs. If you're ready to embrace the power of geospatial intelligence, MapTasker has use cases for large government and corporate organizations through to small SMEs and charities. So get in touch with them today at maptasker.com. Now, let's get on with the show. Remember, full show notes can be found at nz365guide.com/146. Kathrine, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Mark. Nice to be on your show.
Yes, it's good to have you here. Now, can you tell us a bit about where you come from, what part of the world you live in, and a bit about your family?
Absolutely. So I'm living in Sweden. I've been living in Stockholm for the last 29 years, but I was born in Norway. And I married a Swede, so I live with a husband, 2 kids, 2 cats in a house.
And so how long have you been married?
I've been married for 13 years.
Wow, good long time. And just so the guests know, I've had a chance to have dinner at your house in the past. I've enjoyed your hospitality, which has been fantastic. And more recently, I was able to spend some time in your office in Sweden, and this is how this podcast has come about.
True.
So tell us about the best locations to visit in Sweden, and then I'm going to ask you to tell me the same thing for Norway, being that you came from there.
Okay. Well, so my best spot in Sweden is Gotland. It's an island in the Baltic Sea. So that's where we have our country house. That's why I enjoy it there.
Very nice,
and, yeah, and also the nature is beautiful and lots of woods or forests and sea around. So that's. But then, of course, I love Stockholm. I've been living here for a long time, and it's a lot of nice places to see. A lot of history.
True. And what about Norway?
Well, in Norway, I think you should travel the scenic route up north along the coastline. It's nothing like it. I think tears comes to my eyes when I see the mountains that dive into the ocean. It's so dramatic.
Wow. I've been to the lower part of Norway, but never those upper regions. So I definitely have to go there someday.
Yeah, you should absolutely do.
Yeah, you've actually inspired me. So since talking to you, and you talk about your country house, and I understand that a lot of Swedes will work in Stockholm, for example, during the week, but then on the weekends will go to their country home. So being that I'm moving back to New Zealand, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to work in Auckland, but we have our country property in Whangarei. And so each weekend we're going to go and work and live on our little farm, but work in the week in Auckland. So thanks for the inspiration. I'm adopting some of your lifestyle.
Yeah, good for you. It sounds great.
Yeah. So tell me, what's a favorite thing to do as a family?
Well, we all love to travel, and we like to travel to places where we can swim. At least for me and my kids, we love to play in the water and swim around. But we also enjoy playing tennis together and going skiing.
Nice.
Yep, and play games.
Yeah, you've got the climate for skiing, right?
Yeah, well, not that much in the Stockholm area, unfortunately, so we have to go up north. This winter, we're actually going to Norway, so that's good.
Very nice. Very nice. So tell me about your company.
Yeah. So CRM-Konsulterna, that it's called. It's a very Swedish name, and it was a really good name 9 years ago when we started it. Because then the product we were working with was called Dynamics CRM. Now it's called a lot of other stuff. We'll come back to that later, I think. But Anyway, it was started 9 years ago by Gustav Westerlund, a friend of his. And I was also part of the owning team back then. But only 4 years later, I joined the company as the CEO. And then we were 4 people. So 4 years ago, it was 2015. Mm-hmm. And now we are 17. So we are growing slowly, organically.
So what type of business, you're obviously working in the dynamic space. What's your typical customers look like?
Well, they can vary quite a lot, but the typical thing we do is we help people set up working with Dynamics for sales support. So helping them manage their customers, helping them work in the same way with the same sales process, and to be able to follow up. And in essence, it's do not lose the leads, do not miss to follow up on your offers that you have out, and make the customers feel important. That's what we try to help them do. But then, of course, we work also with case management and feed service and a lot of other stuff. Now we also work with a company that has, we're building from the Power Platform to manage landowners.
Wow.
So it's really exciting things, I would say. But it's again, I think what we do is help customers put their customer in the center of their internal processes. So a lot about that.
I like it. So as your role of the CEO, tell me what that entails.
Oh, everything, more or less, I would say. As we are a quite small company still, I'm responsible for sales and a part of being the manager also for everyone. So I work with recruiting, with sales, with the finances. And I also sometimes work as a consultant in the projects we do because I think it's so much fun. So I want to keep one foot in the projects because in my opinion, there's no such thing as a salesperson that actually knows what's going on when the sale is over.
So true.
Yeah. I love to see the change we can create by just asking questions. Why do you do this? Why do you have to do this? And then they start to think, and then, no, we don't actually. So how should we do instead?
I like it. The change, you said there, the change we create by asking questions.
Yes.
That's so good. That's so good. So out of your broad range of roles, sales, you manage staff, so HR, recruiting, finance, consulting, which part of it excites you the most in your day-to-day activities?
Well, I love sales. I honestly do. And the fun thing about being a salesperson in the CRM area is that you actually just tell people how you do yourself. So I think you can be a very good salesperson in this area. But then I love my team. I do everything for my team. So, and seeing people grow from more junior to more senior, it gives me goosebumps when that happens.
Yeah. So good. So let's talk a bit about staff. What's the culture? What kind of culture do you create? Often culture, they say, comes from the top of an organization and flows down. How do you make sure that you create the type of culture that is right for the feel of your business?
Well, that's a very good question. And it's what I also put a lot of my time on, so to say. I spend a lot of time to try to make sure we have the right culture. And one of the most important reasons why I wanted to run my own business was to actually have a culture that I find human, I would say. And what we have done is that we have based the culture very much on the core values we've had since we started the company, which has been to be honest. So we will always be honest with customers as well as with our colleagues, of course. Because if you're not honest, you cannot build good relationships ever, and you do not create trust or a safe environment for the people working here. And then we always have the ambition to be our best in competence on the product we work with. And so in order to be able to be best, we need to make sure there is time available for learning the new stuff and following the events and everything. So we have people in every Friday to meet and share competence.
Wow. Okay.
And then finally, it's also a lot about creating win-win in all our relationships. I mean, of course, we help each other out and the team, but also towards customers to be honest and competent and be honest when you do not know that will create sort of a win-win relationship, in my opinion, because if we trust each other and we can come with the competence we have, customer will listen, and then I think we will have a healthy relationship, which will create a win-win situation.
Mm-mm. Tell me a bit more about those Friday meetings where you use it as an opportunity to upskill staff.
Yeah, so we start every Friday morning with a breakfast in the office together, and we take turns in fixing that. So you can do whatever you wish for the breakfast. Then we have some internal meetings. We have also sessions where we go through ways of working, what has been working well and what has not been working well. So sort of a retrospective. And then we try to schedule almost every Friday a session where we can share something that one of us has found very interesting. Say that, let me just have half an hour to explain this to everybody. I think this would be really useful. So it's a lot. It's not on me only. It's a lot on the team as well to say, hey, this is interesting. Let me tell you about it. Everybody's contributing with their competence and what they find interesting.
I like the way you have your breakfast there, as in being that I experienced one of those breakfasts myself a few weeks ago, and somebody made a coffee that just about put me into cardiac arrest. It was so strong.
Yeah, I heard that. But the next time it's one is weaker and one is stronger. So yeah, you get to choose your.
It was so good. I mean, I was out with Chris Huntingford the night before, so I was worried that it might have been something coming through from the night before, but I think it was the coffee.
Okay.
Tell me about sourcing talent. How do you attract and retain top talent? You've got a reputation for doing this in the Swedish market and even probably the European market. How do you go about this?
Yeah, good question. Again, this is also, of course, top of my agenda every day. But so far, I would say we have managed to do that through our networks that we have by just living our values everywhere in all the events we participate to show our competence. I mean, to let our stars shine everywhere they go in order to attract. I mean, people want to work with people that know you want to develop and learn more. So yeah, that has been working quite well, I would say. And again, I mean, a lot is about finding people that share the values we have, because if they don't, then they will not suit us and we will not suit them. So again, it's back to finding good relationships where we can both prosper. So the win-win thing. Yeah. So I try to challenge my staff all the time, saying that I don't want them to stay in their comfort zone, because that is not something they really want in the end, I think. So I try to push them and throw them new, difficult tasks and say, I definitely believe in them being able to solve it. So that's working as well, I think. But again, this is a continuous hard work, and you can never relax in this role as a manager and CEO. I think you need to be on your toes always.
Mm-hmm. So you mentioned there about letting your stars shine, or letting our stars shine, and I see across the industry that a lot of corporate players in the space that we're all operating in tend to not want their stars to shine. They're worried about them getting poached, or they're worried about that, they'll create a reputation that outgrows, a bigger reputation than the business. But you actually encourage that. Are you worried that they'll become, those stars will shine so much that they will, leave you?
Well, what can I do? If they don't shine, they will definitely leave me, because then they will not develop to their potential either, and they will not be happy in the job. So, of course, they need to shine. Everybody has to be able to shine if they want to be visible. Not everybody wants that, of course, but if they want to, they need to be able to shine and then show off, not show off. You saw what I mean? Yeah. Be able to share. Because that's where we come from. We want to really share what we know, both internally but also externally with, it's competitors sometimes we share information with. That's okay, because together we get better. So no, I see it as I don't have much of a choice here. If I try to, it's like in a relationship. If you're afraid that your partner will leave you for somebody that looks nicer or is younger, then you have an issue.
Yeah. That's such a brilliant, analogy that you made there. And I think I'm going to use that a lot more. That's so good. How do you make sure your staff are constantly increasing their skills? You obviously talked about the Friday event, but is there anything that you do to encourage that the staff, Microsoft keep releasing new changes constantly? How do you make sure that you are up to speed with what's new?
Well, yeah, it's a tough one. And I feel that the last year it has more or less exploded in the platform and what you can do. So we have tried to share responsibility within different areas so that somebody is reading the release notes on all areas, and that we try to package all these together in papers internally, and that we could also share externally. But I mean, it's no such thing as working with the new stuff in projects. So as we almost only have online clients, we quite soon have to learn in the projects, and then we get to test things for real. So again, you have to read and know what's there in order to suggest it to the customer, but it also just pops up now. So you have to get your grip on those changes.
Yeah. Yeah. Is there anything that you proactively do, though, to, let's say Microsoft releases a new things like, just this week, Power Apps portals has gone live. What do you do to make sure that the key staff that are most likely going to be engaged on projects touching that in the future, that they're up to speed? Is there anything specific you do?
Well, I don't do that specifically, but we all do that. So everybody shares when something is up and new, and poke each other. So have you seen this cool thing? So again, this is a shared responsibility that we challenge and inspire each other. So of course, I try to read everything as well, but my time is somewhat limited. So I think we all take that responsibility together.
Yeah, I like that shared responsibility. Very cool. Yep. What do you do to make sure that no staff are left out? And what I mean here is that oftentimes in consulting, a staff member will go out to a customer's site. The project might run for 3, 6, 9, 12 months or even longer. And that staff member then starts to not feel like they're part of the company that employs them and pays their salary. How do you make sure that you don't, if you like, create an environment that staff don't feel detached from your DNA in your business?
Yeah, well, we do not do that much selling resources out to customers. We do that for some cases, and I never sell more than 4 days a week. So the fifth day is always in the office. And right now I think we have like 3 of these and 40 projects. So most of the time we go for customers for the meetings, we come back and work. And that way we can give a lot of value to the customers by us being able to take help from each other as well.
I like it.
So I try to keep people here as much as possible. Of course, you need to be at the customer sites to understand their business as well. So it's a balance, but I don't want to leave them away for too long.
Yeah, it makes sense. It makes sense. How do you determine career advancement for staff?
Well, we have a process set up for the annual review where we have like a long meeting where we go through everything. We follow up that on a monthly basis to make sure that everything is going smooth. And as we are a small company, there is not much management positions to fill right now. But that might change in the future. But of course, what we do is to bring them from junior to a more senior level. We have goals set in their development plans. So I try to challenge them in all areas, because what we do is both on a system basis. The Microsoft platform, it's a lot about people, relationships, and the processes and measurements and KPIs and so on. So there are so many areas within which you need to grow in order to be a really good consultant. We start with one of these and then add on levels as we go. So what we do is more or less we sit together and discuss what the employee is interested in, and set targets according to that and follow up regularly.
Nice. You mentioned there about bringing in juniors and training them up. Do you actively bring in a few grads into the business, and actually that may not have any kind of Microsoft Business Application experience and then train them up into consultants?
Yes.
Tell us about that process.
Well, that process varies quite a lot depending on the individual that comes here, of course. But for example, now we have one who's doing she's studying, and then she has 10 weeks of work as part of the education. And then we start by setting them into configuration and customization. They get to go through a course that we run ourselves. And then they, depending on their area of interest, this person is, for example, interested in maps and geographical information systems.
Oh, yes, yes.
Yeah, so she's now into Maplytics, for example, as an addition to the Dynamics. So, and everybody is very eager to help out and share the knowledge. So there again, we have these regular meetings where we go through what's interesting and what do they want to learn and how can they start to contribute, because I would never let them go out alone to a customer site, of course. But they might join in some meetings and listen and take notes and hear how we talk, and then go back and maybe do some testing, because that's a really good way of seeing how things are working. So this is, and many of the people we have had that came as juniors came also from a specific education that was called CRM consultant education. So that was also really good.
Yeah. Okay.
Several people there.
So when you say they came from CRM education, was that like a university course or something like that?
Yeah, it was not a university. It was another type of education. Like, I don't know what the right word is in English actually, but the work-related education. That was a 2-year education.
Yes. No, I do know what you mean. They kind of call them technical schools, or they're like a university, but often more practical in nature, right?
Yeah, right. Which
Makes
suited
sense.
us really good. So
no, very good. So let's switch gears and talk about customers a bit. How do you find new customers?
Yeah, I find customers again through word of mouth and networks. Fortunately, we have also, as I said, we used to have a very good name when people were searching for CRM-Konsult in Swedish. Then we popped up very quickly. So we have had a few customers just saying, I search after a CRM consultant and you popped up. So
right.
And then, but of course, we get a lot through showing our stars, as I said. That generates a lot of sales. We have good partners that we work together with, like NAB Solutions. I know you've talked to them as well.
Yes.
And other partners as well. And then we also work with content marketing and inbound marketing processes ourselves. So we have ClickDimension that we installed a couple of years ago, where we have market automation flow set up as well. But we're a lot about sharing, so that suits us well.
Okay, so let's just drill into the partner scenario just for a second. How does that relationship work with your partners?
Well, since we only work with the Dynamics CRM part or the Power Platform / customer engagement parts, we are very rarely a threat to most of our partners, which is good. So we often, partners just say, okay, this customer needs sales management support. Then they just hand them over to us and we run that ourselves. In some cases, we are subcontractors to a bigger project where CRM is part of it. So, but most of the time, actually, the partners we work with are really good on their specific area. And I think it's easier that we run our specific area. Yeah. And we do the same with them, of course.
Yeah. That's very interesting. What have you found works when it comes to marketing? You mentioned you've got the tool ClickDimensions installed, but what works when it comes to marketing a consulting like you have?
Yeah, a good question. Again, because how do you measure what works and what actually originated from where? It's always a good question. I think content marketing works well.
Okay, good.
I think it also is a good thing for everybody to shine again, because I more or less force all employees to write blog articles.
I love it.
I cannot force everybody, but I try. So that also brings you into taking responsibility for what's said, and you feel like part of the company, I think, more and more.
Yeah, definitely.
So that works on several levels. But then, of course, the events we're participating in, like showing up at Extreme and at the Dynamics Saturdays or Power Platform Saturdays, I think is good. And of course, delivering good projects. I think word of mouth is something that is working very well.
Yeah, so true.
Best
so true.
way. even though you don't reach as many.
Yeah. But, I think a good referral, right, is often becomes solid customers.
Definitely.
Do you ever respond to like RFPs or requests for information, those type of scenarios?
I do. And mostly if it's an RFP that has come through a known channel. So like through Microsoft or through another partner or that type. I try to answer like this. Governmental RFP, I don't know, that's a very specific process for that in Sweden. And that's not where we can show off in the best way, I think, unfortunately.
So you avoid them at the moment because that's not your core strength? No,
there's so many things that you have to know how to reply in a smart way, and I don't feel that it doesn't sound honest in my head. So I don't want to lie in those type of
I hear
things.
you.
So yeah.
So you mentioned Microsoft. Tell me, how do you facilitate a great working relationship with Microsoft in Sweden?
Well, we have a few contact persons that we work with, both within marketing and sales. So, I mean, it's all about building relationships again, of course. So, yeah, we get a few leads now from Microsoft through our SMB packages that we have. And they also call us when they need somebody who's really skilled on Dynamics platform. So
they call
know
in the
about
experts.
The reputation. Yeah. So they call us when they need experts.
I like it. Tell us a bit about those SMB packages you just mentioned.
Yeah. So what we have done is that we have created something called the CRM package, in Swedish CRM Package, where it's a small project packaged. So it includes setting up sales management in Dynamics, and it includes simple migration, education, and rollout. So that's a small for people that maybe come from Excel and want to start to use a system to aid them in their sales. And then we also do workshops packages where we have sales rolled out within a month, and the CRM package can be rolled out within a week.
Wow, that's very good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. I think packaging services are such an important way forward in the way we do business.
Yeah, it came from the discussions we usually have when we said, okay, dear customer, what do you need? What do you want? And they said, what do you think we should have? And then, but what do you need? Then we said, okay, let's start with this. How does this look? Do you miss something? Let's add that.
Yeah,
so
I like it. I like
easier to start simple.
What opportunities are you thinking of exploring in the future in regards to your business model?
Oh, there's so much to be done, I think. And I think now we focus on these packages that I talked about. We still do a lot of projects that's where our main income comes from. But the packages, I think, is more and more important. And as I said, the CRM package is one, but then we also have an integration with BizNote that will be out soon.
Yep.
And this is to, offer as much value as possible for a low cost to the customers as well. So we want everybody, to have Dynamics or Power Platform, because we believe that's the answer to almost everything. But also now with the Power Platform, I think we have a number of possible package deals there as well. We can offer like how to manage the ALM process, how to let people do citizens development. How should this be done? So it's a lot related to where you're working. I think that we should be able to look into more.
I like it. How meaningful is community engagement as part of individual growth in your business? How much do you encourage things like user groups, the community coming together outside of your business to learn, share, help each other grow, that type of thing? Yeah.
So I think it's important. We encourage that. And every time we have like call for papers for some event, like Extreme and the UG, we send that out to everybody in the company. So just a reminder, there's a call for paper. So if you have something, please send it in. Because, it's really inspiring to meet other people that love to do what you do yourself. So, yeah. And we just had the event here, the Dynamics or Power Platform Saturday this last week. And it's so much energy and so much nerding going on that you really get inspired, I think. So I think it's very important from a personal development. You can get to speak in these events and try that skill. So yeah, I like it. I love it.
So just let's unpack the Power Platform Saturday that you've just had this last weekend gone. What were the key highlights and what were the lessons learned for you from running the event?
Well, I guess things always takes more time than you think, as usual. But this event went very smooth. This was the second event we had, so I think we didn't have any problems, I would say. And we had a lot of speakers coming in, so everything was working very well, I would say. But I'd say the best part of it was to get together. I mean, from customers to different vendors that are really competitors in many cases, and share competence without thinking about that you're my competitor or you're my competitor's customer. I would like, or any of these issues. I think that's really amazing, to be honest. I hope that inspires everybody to share, because there's so much business anyway. We shouldn't see it as a competition. I think it's more about growing your own business together with all these competent people.
Are you putting another event on? As in, going to do another one next year?
Absolutely.
Yeah, excellent.
Yeah.
Have you set the date yet?
No, but we're trying to. We just have to have Microsoft move their office, and then we'll see what possibilities we have to arrange it there.
Yeah,
because
excellent.
I think it's good to be on neutral ground, so you don't stay in any other.
Totally agree. I've been impressed with Mark Christie and Ian Connolly up in Scotland, where they always get a university, which is, if you can't get Microsoft, that's kind of almost like the best next neutral ground, as a venue. It's worked very well.
Definitely.
Tell us, as a CEO, what does your monthly calendar typically look like? I didn't want to go as narrow as a week, but over the course of the month, what are the kind of big things that land in your calendar that you're addressing month in, month out?
Yeah. So of course it's the invoicing period and the finances. That comes like a clock every month. So, and I have regular meetings. As I said, I have these monthly meetings with everybody that I try to keep. And we have a board meeting every month as well.
Right.
Yeah. And I try to meet the new potential candidates on a monthly basis as well, at least. And then I'd say new sales every week, meeting new potential customers, and then trying to develop the customers we have. That's more or less overall. Then everything that is not working well, of course, ends up in my table. But usually everything works very well. So.
Is there anything that you kind of feel that you could do more of in your role or less of?
Oh, yeah. I would like to hire somebody who could help me out with the finance part, because that's not where my heart lies. And I really would like to do more events myself, to be honest. I would like to talk more about change management and work more with those as perspectives of implementing a project in Power Platform.
Yeah, so good. I know you and I have discussed a book called Naked Consulting, and I understand you've done a bit with that book in your business. What does it mean for your company and your staff? Well,
we actually bought the book for everybody in the company almost a year ago now, and had that as a basis for our conference last January, or this January. And first of all, this is a book, it is a business book that's written as a fable, which I thought was quite nice, because then you get it into real, even though it's a fable, it's sort of activities that you can recognize. And what I liked is it's all about, getting naked in this perspective means that you let go of your ego. Because if you do that, you're more open to other people and can listen and put the customer in the center. And of course, it's a lot also about that. If you let go of your ego, you're not afraid to ask stupid questions. And stupid questions are good, because then you find things that the customer might not have thought about, just always done what they have done. So we had good discussions around this book. In my opinion, we already worked a little bit like that. I mean, it's back to the honesty and competence and win-win things that we do. So Yeah, to me it was inspiring, and then to the company as well. I think not everybody's used to reading business books, of course. But it was an easy way to get that, since it was a fable.
Yeah. And the good thing is it's not a long book, right? It's actually quite to the point. I call it, it's something you can read on a Saturday morning quite easily.
Yeah.
And, for me, with that book, I just found it spoke exactly to our industry in the Power Platform and Dynamics 365. As, consultants in the space, I was able to look at many of, the stories and the scenarios given in that book and find that I had been in those situations across my career. And, for me, I found there were times that I probably could have acted more boldly. And, you're afraid of looking stupid in front of people sometimes. But it's when you're raw and you ask those questions and even confront those people that are, we've all been on client sides where you can tell there's something wrong in the client dynamics, as in between themselves, right?
Yeah.
There's conflict. I remember being in a meeting with the CEO and CFO of a company, and this was a multi, in the hundreds of millions of dollar type business in Australia, and there was obvious conflict between these two gentlemen in the meeting. They, in the point that they're calling out, no, you got it wrong, you're totally wrong. And this is a formal business meeting, and there's been other times where you've seen people on a project where they're always undermining other individuals in their team.
Yeah.
And it creates a culture that people don't want to talk because they're afraid they're going to be targeted. And I mean, I liked in the naked consulting, it causes you to have the strength to address that when you see it, because it could derail the project you're working on.
Yeah, definitely. And that is a hard thing to do, to actually question the participants from customer side, to say, okay, this is not working.
You've got to get very conscious of watching people's body language when other individuals. It's kind of like, in Scrum and the stand-up. One of the beauties I love about Scrum and stand-up, and there's the 3 questions, which is, what have you completed? What are you going to complete? And are there any impediments? And always under the what are you going to complete, it's interesting watching other people's facial expressions when someone commits to something that affects them, right? Because they know whether that person's going to complete in the time frame because of experience. And I think in consulting, you see this with customers often, is that an individual will be speaking at the customer's location, and you can see them just by their demeanor and stuff shutting down various members of their own team, by, cutting them, how they cut them off, using their words as weapons almost. Yeah, so this book is so effective in addressing that.
Yeah, definitely.
Awesome. Well, it's been great to have you on the show. Is there anything you want to add in closing? And then otherwise I'll get on to some quick fire questions for you.
Yeah, no, I think you just mentioned this Scrum part, and this is something also I am a strong believer of. So that's also something we run every day. We have a short stand-up every morning in the office to just get a grip of what's going on.
Yeah, I like it. Keep your finger on the pulse.
Yeah.
Okay, let's have some quick fire questions. Now, these are not about business. They're just more about you and life in general.
Yep.
So first of all, which season fits your personality?
Summer. Even though I love skiing, but I love summer more.
What's the best date you've ever been on?
My best date?
No, the best date you've ever been on. Like, what happened on the date that made it the best you've ever been on?
You mean a date with a guy?
Yeah.
Okay, my best date. Well, that must have been when... Oh, shit. That was a hard question. Well, I have to say something that relates to my husband, of course. So when we went...
No, you don't. It can be before your husband.
Yeah, but those dates are they weren't that good anyway. So I think it was when we've been to Paris, actually. Yeah. And we went to Montmartre and, walked around and just sitting in the stairs.
Yeah, it's a beautiful area, isn't
Notre
it?
Dame. Yeah, really beautiful.
If you could only have 5 apps on your phone, what would they be?
It would definitely be LinkedIn, Outlook, and as I have Outlook, I would of course have the Dynamics app within that app. So then I have only 2 still. So Facebook, I think, and Instagram, and Twitter.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay.
Teams.
Ah, yes.
Sorry.
Okay. Yeah. Would you rather explore space or the ocean?
Space.
What's one thing you did that you wish you could go back and undo?
Oh, to be honest, I don't know. Of course, there must be many things I should have done. But yeah, I think in general, actually to take conflicts directly as they appear, it's something I would go back and do in some cases in general to deal with things as they pop up and not to wait too long.
Who has the most influence on you growing up?
My mother.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Awesome. And last one, who do you recommend as a guest for the podcast in the future? You can't use one you've already given me.
No. Then you know what? I have a colleague here who changed from being a musician producer, music producer, and changed into being a CRM consultant.
Wow.
Yeah, Patrick Magnusson.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you introduce me to him? That'd be awesome.
Absolutely. I am very impressed with people that change career later in life, and that's such a brave move, I think.
Totally agree. Kathrine, it's been awesome to have you on the show. Before you go, if people want to connect with you online, where can they find you?
Well, they can find me at LinkedIn. On Twitter, I am as well. I don't actually have the exact name there. I should remember that. And the email, of course, Kathrine.Hogseth at CRM-Konsulterna.se.
Hey, thanks again for joining us on today's show. Dynamics 365 show as it's currently called, but as I say, I'm thinking of a name change and we might be going to the Power Platform show. For full show notes, please go to nz365guy.com/146 for this episode. I'm your host, Business Application MVP Mark Smith, otherwise known as the NZ365 Guy. Don't miss out on anything Microsoft that I cover. You know, I'm blogging a couple of times a week. I get 2 podcasts out a week and a couple of YouTube videos out per week nowadays. So if you want to keep up to date with that, if you go to nz365guy.com, you will see there that you can subscribe to my mail list, get notified early on things that I'm considering, collaborations, that type of thing. Or if you want to check out what I'm doing on YouTube, go to youtube.com/nz365guy. Anyhow, I hope you've enjoyed that show. I hope you've learned something. If you have a guest that you would recommend for a future show, and when I think of guests, I'm thinking about anybody that's involved in our industry, that are passionate about our industry. No matter what your role, you might be a functional consultant, an architect, a developer, you might be running a business, running a practice. I would love to talk to you, get your insights and learn from you, and allow the audience to learn at the same time. Anyhow, bye for now.